Well, hello there. My name is Daniel Purcell, and I own over 1,500 VHS movies. I have my own home theater here in Glenville, Georgia, at my house, my duplex. I have a house. Uh, but we'll take a tour of that on another day. Um, Today is just me introducing myself and why I collect VHS and why it's important to preserve history, a medium of film in history. A lot of people think, well, VHS was a mistake. Pixelation uh, was terrible. Quality was terrible. The tapes didn't last very long. But to be honest with you, all forms of cassettes, VHS, Betamax, analog cassette tapes, you name it, micro cassettes, they all lasted longer than the digital means. In other words, you didn't have to worry about pressing a button and losing it. Face it, every once in a while you would get entangled with your machine and it would eat up your cassette or your video, and you'd have to throw out something of value to you, and that always was bad. And then there was always the having to rewind the whole thing. Well, I I have purchased a VHS rewinder from a failing Blockbuster store, so I can rewind a VHS cassette in less than a minute, which I find is worth the wait because there are so many problems with digital uh, recordings, CDs, DVDs. I cannot stand uh, when I'm watching a movie and it skips over 20 minutes of a film. Now, mind you, the picture looks better, but I've done missed out on like half of the movie because somebody didn't know how before me didn't know how to handle the DVD in the red box. And then you got your flash drive. Well, you know what? Most of the people who watch movies on flash drive, they're downloading pirated, bad versions of movies in theaters, anyways. I have countless discs of black market DVDs that have been passed down from friend to friend to friend, or uh, they get it off of Pirate Bay and they just piece a movie together horribly, and you can hear the guy breathing while he's filming the black market version of the film. The bottom line is VHS to me was the most consistent and most salvageable medium for watching film. And not only that, there are so many films that never went from VHS on. There are many films that died at the VHS level, and therefore, you know what? We're just gonna let that film die because they didn't have enough money to re-release it on DVD or in a digital format. God forbid. If that were the case today, uh, with films like in the Criterion Collection, for instance, uh, if they didn't convert the medium from reel to Betamax to VHS for our viewing pleasure, those films would have gotten lost somewhere in Hollywood in some box, just collecting dust, unmarked. Nobody would have known where it was. But the bottom line is I'm preserving these movies, and I'm not talking about, you don't just come to my collection. I mean, I have your basic, movies like Forrest Gump and Jerry Maguire and Batman Forever and Mouse Hunt and all that stuff. I have those movies too because I have kids, and I like to be able to have movies for the family. But I also like to collect rare, out of print. They died when Blockbusters and video warehouses and the video houses died due to digital, Hulu, Netflix, RedTube, or not Redbox. Um, anyways, yeah, Redbox, Hulu, Netflix, you name it. Those were what killed the video houses. And I'm afraid, I was just telling my friend the other day, I'm afraid that possibly that could happen with movie theaters as well. Movie theaters could become antiquated or become so expensive compared to what you can do digitally that people are just going to either boycott them or not go to them. Like what happened with Blockbuster. As soon as red boxes came out on every corner, every Walgreens, every grocery store, and it was just $1 rental versus, you having to pay for a membership and have a key. You know, you had to pay all sorts of money and fees and whatnot if it was late. And the red boxes charge you if they're late, and they're not $1 anymore. We're seeing already that red box is on its way out for the next phase. Just like these iPhones, we're up to like what, i10 now, and I'm still using a free Android phone or whatever. But these iPhones, they release a brand new one. Like, when they get tired of adding numbers to iPhone, they'll just come up with another name. Like Xbox One or Xbox 360. They just, when they get too high in the numbers, they'll start over with something new, and they'll start over at one, and that'll be the first new release of that. But bottom line is we're living in a world that they don't know the value of what was lost. They don't know that there were movies that didn't make it into the digital age, and that by me having 1,500 of these films and showing them to my friends and my families, I am preserving a part of history that everybody is left to die. Here's an example of a film that I have in my collection. It's got Steve Guttenberg and Robert Wagner in it. It's called Overdrive. Look at the cover of that. That's fire in the background. Cars on a racetrack. Okay? This movie, I dare you to try and find this movie on on any other means other than VHS. Overdrive will not be found in any other medium but VHS. It did not make it to DVD. Okay? So, what have I done? I've taken a VCR and I've connected it. I've run it through a pile and 4 Sony speakers for surround sound. That enables you and through a 720 pixelation flat screen TV. This allows you to see these movies in what I consider to be movie theater format, as they were meant to be seen and heard and experienced. Okay, so here's one in my collection, Overdrive, one of 1,500 movies that I have that are rare, hard to find. I got this at a Goodwill. I found this at a Goodwill. Somebody just threw it out, left it in the back door of a Goodwill to rot or to disappear because they didn't have room for it in their house. I'm not sure if this is on DVD or not, but everybody knows the Phil Collins song, Against All Odds, okay? And yeah, Phil Collins did the soundtrack, or he was one of the music writers on this, as Against All Odds. This is an old Jeff Bridges film. You know him from the Coen Brothers movie, The Big Lebowski. He was the dude who just wanted his rug back or whatever. He drank lots of those White Russians throughout the movie, and he liked to bowl. But anyways, this is Jeff Bridges. James Woods plays the bad guy in this movie. Jeff Bridges, and this film is just great because it completely captures this era of film. Doubt it. This movie came out long before Sin City, and you wonder, this is chicken and the egg thing. Like, who really comes up with these ideas? Does Rodriguez and Tarantino really come up with all these cool ideas by making a black and white movie, black and white noir gangster movie? This has John Ritter in it. I don't know if you see him, but John Ritter's dead. He's been dead for a while now. This is Billy Bob Thornton up at the top. And that's a gun nozzle pointed right at your face. So this is a movie that you would find at a Blockbuster or whatever, and you'd have to go back into the corner or whatever to find it because it wasn't on the wall with the new releases. It was in some crime drama film noir section. Might have even been placed next to the international movies. And you never rented it because you didn't know it existed. And it's called A Gun, a Car, a Blonde. And what a great title. Again, most of these movies I get at garage sales, yard sales, Goodwills, thrift shops. There's a thrift store just up the street here in Glenville, right next to the Green Tea Buffet, Chinese restaurant. And they just have a whole collection of VHS. And they keep getting more in. I just went in and got some more the other day. They're 50 cents a piece. I mean, come on. 50 cents to preserve a part of history that is just dying every day. I mean, I have to throw up to about 10 of these out a year because they're just old and wore out. And there's nothing I can do to fix them when they get entangled in the machine. They get too old and they just get wore out. You gotta throw them out. There's just no saving them at that point, and really no point in me trying to save them beyond watching them until they die. But by the time that one dies, I've salvaged and saved 20 others that are dying. So again, it's just like animals that go extinct. You've got to choose your battles wisely, and the ones that you do choose to save, and remind yourself that it does matter to the ones that you choose to save. And who knows, maybe 10 people will get to see that film in the 21st century instead of none getting to see that film in the 21st century because I saved it at a yard sale or a Goodwill. Um, why is that important to me? Well, I love film. I love it. And it kills me that there's any film that isn't timeless. There are films that just they're so low budget, they come and they go, and either you saw it or you didn't. And if you didn't see it, you're never going to see it. Yeah, it bothers me to no end. There are movies that I'm still trying to find from my childhood that I know I saw in the horror, or the comedy, or the drama sections of a blockbuster. I know I saw that movie, and I cannot find it. I can't even remember the title. I just remember the box and what the box looked like. So, bottom line is guys, I'm trying to educate. I'm trying to let you get excited about VHS film again. Just like Tarantino's trying to keep film, 35 millimeter film going. Uh, he did Hateful Eight, 35 millimeter film. Beautifully, beautifully done. Uh, Unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of the actual movie content of the Hateful Eight, but the actual movie itself is beautifully filmed on 35 millimeter film, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's like watching, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or something. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. Or The Wizard of Oz, or it's just that beautiful to me. Um, but Tarantino's trying to preserve film. He will not make a film on digital. He refuses to film on anything other than film. And when that medium is up, he's just going to retire. He's just going to quit. Uh, so, anyways, here's some other movies that I have in my collection. This one is called Night of the Comet. And again, these are movies that you can find at a Blockbuster and rent back in the days before Redbox took over and Netflix took over, and now they're just obsolete. You can't find them anywhere except on eBay. Somebody who has a collection of them and is preserving them like I am, saves them and sells them, tries to sell them for a profit. Primal Rage, which is funny because this movie is the coolest 80s horror movie I've ever seen. It is so badly done, yet the one of the members of the band Goblin, who did the music for Suspiria by Dario Argento, Claudio Simonetti did the music, and you can tell it. This has a Argento flair and feel to it throughout, yet you can tell that Argento is not behind the camera, but it is so badly done. This is kind of what Tarantino and Rodriguez were going for when they paired up and did Grindhouse. Except the sad thing about this movie, I won't say sad, but the director is very arrogant and thinks that he made a masterpiece. Well, he did, but it's a bad masterpiece. He made a masterfully bad movie. It's awful. It's just plumb awful. From the sound effects to the visual effects to the story to the soundtrack, the whole thing is just one big cheese ball of a time, and you're laughing from start to finish. Primal Rage. I guarantee you, there's only a few copies of this laying around. I ordered this on Amazon actually, and I think I paid like $5.65 for it. It wasn't cheap in terms of VHS in these day and age. $5.65 for one VHS is expensive when they're normally 50 cents for the more modern ones at the thrift stores and the pawn shops. But this Primal Rage is just one big cheese ball of a flick. And that's the beauty of it, man. Like Tarantino and Rodriguez, when they made Grindhouse, they were shooting for making two bad movies. They wanted to deliberately make bad movies with cigarette burns. They did fake cigarette burns. I mean, really, the Grindhouse Project, to my opinion, I got it, I understood it, I even liked the two films. But what they did was atrocious. They made two really great films like that. It was either 80 or 18 million. I can't remember how much. Maybe it was 30 million. I know it was double-digit million to make two B films. They should have just stuck with a budget of like, 10,000 apiece to make their movies, and then they would have actually made bad movies. But they had gotten so used to making these big movies like Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill and Robert Rodriguez with his Desperado films. They had gotten so Hollywoodized that it was impossible for them to make a bad movie, and they were just too good of directors. I mean, Tarantino's won Academy Awards for them to try and make B movies after they've won Academy Awards. I mean, this is silly. So the whole thing, in my opinion, was a swing, not necessarily a miss, but I think they missed their objective, which their objective was to make two bad movies, and instead they made two good movies. And nothing grindhousing about them at all. And what they did, like adding cigarette burns and stuff to the film, that was tacky. I mean, if you want to authenticate, what actually was going for, these people were on deadlines and they were chain smoking because they were scared that they were going to lose all their money. They were scared that their product was going to get yanked while they were still filming it. They were working on it tirelessly day and night, drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes, and trying to get the project finished, which is why, made in a hurry, there's going to get cigarette burns on it. But Tarantino and Rodriguez, they had all the time in the world to make their movies. They deliberately put cigarette burns and soaked the film in acid and stuff to try and recreate something that was authentically bad, and bad because it was on a deadline, a ridiculous deadline. Roger Corman sometimes had to have movies done in 1 week. He was given a deadline of a week and 30 grand. And so he'd get Vincent Price, spend all his money on Vincent Price, and make and just build all the movie sets with money, his own money, and make a movie and have it out on the drive-in in a week's time, edited, mastered, everything for American Republic Pictures. So, but again, this is another film, Delta Force 3. It's just a ridiculous movie that you'll never find this in a red box. You'll never find this on DVD. You'll never find it, period. So anyways, that's it. Over 1,500 VHS titles in my collection. And trying to preserve a little bit of history. All right. Well, I hope you all have a great time. And subscribe to this. And like this if you're for this. If you're not for it, please don't dislike it. Just move on to something else. I can do without the dislikes. But if you don't like it, just don't return to it. How about that? All right. If you like it, subscribe and give me a thumbs up. I'll see y'all real soon.